Hey folks, my name is Axel, and I know what you're thinking. A person on YouTube making a fool out of himself? Well, I've never seen anything like it. Okay, so Fallout 4. It happened, there was nothing we could do about it. What's the next logical step that the series could take after that? Was Todd drunk or something? Like, am I an idiot, or did we just, miss out on numbers 5 through 75?
Hey everyone, I've got a really good idea.
Fallout 76, this game is a bit of an infamous one. It's the 5th entry in the Fallout series, could you tell? This game is remembered by many people, but not because it was good. And that's for a very specific reason. It's because it wasn't. When I say that this game wasn't good, I don't mean that the concept of the game wasn't good, far from it. It was conceptualized as a Fallout game that you could play with a group of friends, which is a novel concept. But the problem with that concept is that the game was built as a multiplayer experience and not a single-player one. And because of that, a lot of problems arose. And on top of the performance issues that the game already had because of the way it was designed, the game was also rushed beyond belief to get it out as a holiday title, which, as you can imagine, brought a lot of glitches on day one. Or at least that's what you would think. You would think that because the game was rushed, that's why it did so poorly. You'd think that because the higher-ups demanded that the game be sold as a holiday title was the reason why it was rushed, and was the reason why it did so poorly. But that's not what I think. I don't think Bethesda ever really did care about this game. And to show you why I believe that, I'm going to be showing you two products that were pushed alongside the launch of the game. The Nuka Cola Rum and the Fallout 76 Power Armor Edition. Because I believe that these two products paint a very vivid picture of what Bethesda's intentions were and how much they really did care about their fans during this time. Also, I'm not going to be talking about the atomic shot because that topic's already been done to death anyway. The Nuka Cola Rum was revealed alongside Fallout 76 as an exact replica of the rum found in Fallout 4 by the same name. And to begin, Fallout fans were pretty excited. It was very pricey, charging it at $80 though. According to people online, the rum itself was nothing to write home about. It was pretty mediocre at best. But you weren't buying it for the sake of the rum, you were buying it for the sake of having a real version of the rum in your favorite game that was carefully made to look exactly like the bottle found in the game. A nice, cool, glass fucking bottle. So after a while of waiting, the rum was finally supposed to come out and then got delayed, bitch. After the initial delay, Bethesda sent out an email to its customers saying that the bottle was not up to the usual Fallout standard. I mean, they weren't wrong, but still. It took about 3 months for the rum to get to its customers, and when they found the rum, it turns out that the bottle was in fact plastic, not glass. Not Fallout standard, baby. Now, the fact that it was plastic instead of glass may not seem like that big a deal to some people, but I need to remind you, people shelled out $80 for mediocre rum and plastic that was somehow more fragile than glass. Now, you can make the argument that this was the fault of the consumer, not Bethesda themselves, because they never explicitly said that it was a glass bottle. But all the marketing they made it look like it was frosted glass, and nowhere at all did they ever say it was plastic. But hey, accidents happen, and it wasn't necessarily Bethesda's fault that people were unhappy with the rum. And hey, it's not like Bethesda would actually go out and falsely advertise the product, would they?
Oh no.
Pay no mind to the fact that I have different clothes on. This was all recorded on the same day. Alright, this is where stuff starts to get a little fucky, so try and keep up. The Power Armor edition of Fallout 76 was the collector's edition of the game. You know, those little bundles that usually cost $700 that just include a few knickknacks. It had a helmet that you could barely see out of. Worth it. The helmet accumulated mold. Still worth it. It included some in-game items and a map of the game. I can't read. It included a copy of the game. How generous of them. And it included a finely crafted canvas bag. Oh, alright. Now, of course, this is speaking from a more personal standpoint, but to be honest, none of the things in this collector's edition necessarily grabbed me immediately, you know? A lot of the things in this collector's edition are knickknacks, you know? They're not really something that you would get worth out of, and if I'm spending $200 on something, I want to get my worth out of it. The only thing I could reasonably see myself getting a lot of use out of is the bag. And because I can only use the bag, I would want that bag to be good. And not plastic. But they just couldn't help themselves, could they? Yes, indeed. Bethesda advertised that you would get a canvas bag in the Power Armor edition of the game, and they gave you this hunk of shit. There is no semantics, there is no loophole. The consumer is not at fault here, boyos. Bethesda committed blatant false advertisement. This is the kind of thing that you would expect out of a knockoff bag company, not a multi-million-dollar gaming studio. Now, again, it may not seem like that big a deal to some that it wasn't a canvas bag, but again, I need to remind you, people shelled out $200 for this, and the only thing that you were going to consistently use in this thing was the bag. So I think people had a right to be teed off that it was plastic. It was a plastic bag. But then again, it's not really that much to be angry about. As long as Bethesda righted their wrongs, it would be okay, right? A lot of people actually started requesting refunds because of this. And because Bethesda blatantly false advertised something, you would expect them to actually refund the money that was spent on this, right? What if they did that? Do you think they did that? Nope. Their team literally sent out an email to everyone who had complained about the bag and told them that they were literally not planning on doing anything about it. I'm not making this up. That was the sentence that was said. But hey, then again, I'm not really gonna use a bag all that often. I mean, I can barely be bothered to go outside to get the mail sometimes.
I called the military, but I don't think anyone's coming.
Look, I found the shirt that I was wearing this morning. Needless to say that this caused a bit more backlash than before. So, how did Bethesda respond this time? Well, remember how I said I wasn't going to be talking about the Atomic Shop in the beginning of the video? Yeah, no, I'm going to talk about the Atomic Shop. The Atomic Shop was a place where you could buy in-game cosmetics for real-world money. Ka-ching. $1 in real life would equate to 500 atoms that you could spend in the Atomic Shop on whatever you saw fit. And most of these prices were nonsensical. $7 for a digital fridge. So Bethesda went, well, we have the Atomic Shop, why don't we give everyone who complained $5 worth of atoms? Well, that's a bit of a slap in the face, don't you think? But do you want to know what's more of a slap in the face? Is that there is a canvas bag in the game that can be bought at the Atomic Shop for 700 atoms. Wow. So Bethesda kind of took this time to spit on all their fans. Not only did they push out a game that was mediocre at best and downright unplayable at worst, but they also pushed out products that blatantly lied to the consumer in an attempt to make them buy them. Now, you might be asking, well, why does the merchandise have anything to do with the quality of the game? The fact that they were willing to push out so many products with so many problems just kind of tells me they never really cared about those products in the first place. They didn't make those things for the sake of them being good. They only made Fallout 76, and they only made the merchandise that went with the game to make money. And yes, I guess that is capitalism. Companies do things for the sake of turning a profit, but that doesn't mean I have to like the way they did it. Bethesda definitely made some really questionable decisions during this time, and I feel like those decisions are starting to catch up with them. At the time of making this video, Bethesda has just recently been bought out by Microsoft, which leaves the future of the company up in the air. Despite all the mistakes they've made, though, they obviously have a fan base for a reason, and that fan base will likely continue to support them into the near future. And hey, Bethesda actually did their best to improve the game over time through patch notes and free DLC, so that makes me curious as to how the game does nowadays, in terms of reviews. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that.